This podcast contains swear words and two brothers discussing how to make their behavior fit their beliefs. It seems polite to warn you.
You and I will disagree. I'm not you. Let it be. What's good for you is not good for me. I'm talking philosophically. What's good for you and me? I'm talking philosophically.
Welcome to Philosophically Sound, where we explore the music people like and learn to love the music and people we explore. I'm Tony, a musician, teacher, and aspiring philosopher.
And I'm Gus, Tony's brother, a learning and development professional and amateur drummer.
Damn straight. Today we are exploring festivals. Have you ever been to a music festival, Gus? Yes, I know you have, because we've been to many together. We're going to talk about that, and specifically different listening mindsets, which we've already talked a bit about, the way you can listen to music while you're driving, while you're cooking, while there's a party going on, sitting down and actively listening. And at a festival, you might also get a variety of different kinds of listening. But what's really unique about a festival, a music festival, is you show up and you are committed maybe for 8 hours or something that day to spending time listening to music. Some of it you're probably stoked about. You know you're going there to see this particular band. There's other stages at the festival maybe where you're like, who are these guys? It sounds amazing. I want to listen to this band too. So there's something about your openness to discovering new things and your openness to paying attention that has a unique effect, we will argue, on how you choose to like things, how much you like of what you discover. So this is all tied in, of course, to the implied for me, my concept about preference, where every single statement of preference you make will focus mostly on music, but I think this applies to most any preference, has an implied for me at the beginning or the end. For me, Warped Tour was really fun. Other people, you might say like, Warped Tour was hot. That's all that I can say about it. Fun is not the word I'd use, whatever it is for you. And so I want to focus today on the implied for me as it applies to live music versus recorded music, which again comes out of this festival subject. Because when you're listening to a band live, sometimes you get this experience, this memory, this sensory experience of them that is so ecstatic and amazing and just joyful. And then you might buy their album and you might listen to the album later, and a couple different things might happen. You might listen to it and think, these recordings aren't as good as I feel like what I remember hearing live, right? Or you might listen to it live, and even if the recordings aren't as good, you might think like, I don't fucking care. It just reminds me of how awesome they were live and I can't wait to see them again. Or maybe you listen, of course, to their album and it's been brilliantly produced and you're like, holy shit, I like this even better than seeing them live. But the point is that these are totally different experiences, totally different listening experiences. And that's important for us as we try to expand our preference, because it might mean that we're passing judgment on an artist, on a type of music, on a song, before we've actually given it a full chance, before we've experienced it in all the different ways it can be experienced. I want to briefly bring up, there was a Colorado band that called Air Dubai. You ever heard of these guys?
I have not.
Amazing band. But at first, I didn't really think they were an amazing band because I saw them live a couple of times in very compact, very loud venues, and I didn't have earplugs. And I was listening to them, and it all just kind of sounded washy and distorted, and I'm like, it's a good beat, but I'm not sure I really get it. And then I saw them live at Red Rocks, opening for Film on the Rocks, And I walk into the theater, and the sound was so crisp, so clear. I could hear the beautiful tones of the guitar blending with the drums and the singer and the rapper's voice. Just like everything was just so blended perfectly together. And I'm like, this is the same band that I saw at those other shows? And of course it was, but I was listening to it in a totally different environment. Outside, first of all, but probably maybe a little better mixed. You know, the engineers who work at Red Rocks might be a little more skilled than some of those smaller dive bars. And it hit me hard, that experience. It was maybe one of the first times that I started thinking about my perception and my mood and my mindset being bigger factors of whether I liked something than the thing itself, than the music itself.
That's a great example of being ready to receive. And I think, we already talked about that. The festivals create that atmosphere. You go into it knowing you're going to listen to music for 8 hours and maybe drink beer all day. And it's just, this is what I'm doing today. And I think we discussed, how often are you just sitting in your living room listening to music for 8 hours drinking beer? Maybe you're doing that often. I'm not. I kind of like the sound of it.
You might be able to do it more.
Maybe I should be doing that.
This Saturday, everybody, take 6 hours, take 4 hours. Take 2 hours. Drink 3 beers in 2 hours and listen to as much music as you can. Just fucking pay attention. And you could even craft this, right? You'd be like, start with something you know you love, then go into something that's like you never heard of, then go into something you claim to hate, and go back to something you love, and like, see what the fuck happens. You might come out just being like, whoa, I love everything.
Yeah. That's an interesting experiment, and I have some time this weekend, so I actually may try that. And I'll let you know how it goes. We should try it.
Something missing from our last episode 1, was some sort of exercise to do. And this is as good an exercise as any, actually.
I think that is the exercise. So we can, at least, I'm just saying at least an hour, but 2 preferably.
2 makes sense.
1.5 beers per hour, however many hours you do.
Good.
And yeah, something you know and like, something you've never heard of, and something you dislike, and just see how that stuff is.
And of course, if you don't like beer, drink something else.
Yeah.
Your preference is valid.
Your preference is valid. I think you also raised a good point during that initial kind of introduction, that there's a lot of variables in live music, as the the mixing that can have a huge effect on the sound or where you're standing, the acoustics of an area. And so I wonder if we should narrow it a bit, or how I'm going to narrow it a bit is in a festival in the context of discovering music. And maybe I shouldn't narrow it that much, but it's a hard thing to measure. But I discover a band at a festival that I really like, or I see them live. Had I heard that recording first, would I have the same reaction? And
yes,
I don't.
Excellent point.
I don't think so. Now, on the other hand, kind of like with our experiment, there's bands you know and like going to the festival. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't have gone unless you're just purely an exploratory sort of journey. But so having those positive experiences and that sort of high from seeing your favorite band, maybe translates into again, that willingness to accept something. So there's sort of like a lot of factors at play. And so we may oversimplify it for some people. Like, as you listen, you may say, what about this? What about that? And those are good things to bring up in this discussion. We'd love to hear it.
And I think the question to ask yourself underneath all of this as you try to expand your preference is, how much time are you giving to the music before you decide whether you like it or not?
Yeah, that's
That'll be the question. I think you ask that question, be like, did I just make a snap judgment? Did it happen really quick? Or did I give it a chance in a couple different listening environments before I made a call?
Well, on that note, I read an article recently that the average length of songs is shortening. It's getting shorter, and part of that has to do with how we consume music through social media, through TikTok. And there was a study in there, and I'm messing up all the facts and figures. Maybe I can send that to you and we can link to it in the podcast. But
Sweet.
Essentially, people make a decision pretty quick, first couple seconds of a song, if they want to keep listening or not, from a recorded version, from the way we consume now, streaming, you swipe left, whatever. At a music festival, there's a lot more friction. You stumble upon a band, maybe you're crowded, you can't even get out, you're in the middle,
Exactly.
and you have to listen to the whole show.
Even if you do walk away, you're going to hear the band for a while as you walk away because those speaker systems are massive and loud and you're outside.
You can't make that snap judgment. It forces you to listen to a little bit more of it, see a little bit more of it, which could be a good thing.
I can't wait to go to a music festival.
I know.
I haven't been in ages. And I
ready.
don't think I've been really since you and I went to a Warped Tour. How many Warped Tours did we go to together?
I want to say we went to 3.
At least 3.
Right? 2 in Colorado and 1 in Las Cruces, New Mexico.
Yeah.
And this is probably a good time to just introduce the Warped Tour or reintroduce it for anyone who's not super familiar. The first year it was called the Warped Tour, and then after that it was sponsored by Vans Shoes every year. So the Vans Warped Tour is how you might have heard it, and it was a touring show, summer concert series that ran from 1995 to 2019. It was founded by this gentleman named Kevin Lyman, who's put on a lot of other musical events, but the Warped Tour has been his most famous and kind of successful tour there. And it really, it started out as like a punk rock tour, but it would have like ska and like hardcore and metal, but they'd get all sorts of different acts in there over the years. And it was a big part of my, in an earlier episode, we talked my musical preferences, punk rock, pop punk, all sorts of things. And that was the perfect place to go as a middle to high school student back in those days. And I think once some of my friends maybe grew out of their punk rock phases and didn't want to go, I would drag Tony with me, who that wasn't necessarily his preference to listen to back in school.
Do you remember me resisting those invitations?
I think I had to, I'd asked definitely multiple times, and I think I had to kind of guilt you into going with me the first time. You're like, fine. Like, no one wants to go with me.
Come on, hang out with your brother.
I don't know. That might be an implanted memory, but I think that's true.
I'm glad that you worked hard on it because some of my favorite memories are from those festivals. It's powerful experiences there,
Yeah. The energy. I remember you saying, like, because I think when you invite someone to something and it's not their thing, it's your thing, at least I find myself checking in with that person a lot. Like, hey, are you having fun? Like, did you have a good time? Like, trying to make sure they're not being surly about it. And I remember you saying how you really appreciate the energy of the bands on stage and their performance and the fans moshing and things like that, which I think is a tangible component of the music. And I think we'll talk a little bit about energy and feeding off of each other. But
yeah, so today we're going to talk a lot about a song called Weatherman by a band called Dead Sara. And I first saw Dead Sara, first heard them in 2012 at the Warped Tour we went to that year. And I think for right away after that festival and for years, I've remembered the name Dead Sara. So good band name. But what I remember most about that show is, again, what you said, energy, just this intense focus from everybody on stage. Like the singer, Emily Armstrong, is moving around a lot. She's jumping up onto drum sets and amplifiers and jumping off of them, head banging and her hair is flying everywhere. I probably didn't have long hair back then either, which is funny because I have good headbanging hair now, but at the time I was probably wearing a backwards hat or something.
I can dig up a picture, I think. I don't think you did have long hair.
And yeah, there was something, I think at Warped Tour, I found myself loving musical experiences that, like you said, I would have claimed not to have liked before. I'm like, I'm not punk, hardcore, they're going to scream, it's going to be loud. I'm not going to like that. But then I'm there and I'm well prepared with earplugs, which which it is an important thing for me because I spend my life making money by listening effectively. I can't sing well if I don't listen, if I can't hear, right? So preserving the integrity of my hearing is actually really important to me. Of course, it will deteriorate over time no matter what I do, but keeping a little bit as I go is nice, I think.
Yeah.
And when you have those earplugs too, you can go right up to the fucking front of the stage, which is cool. And you're not in pain, but you just get to see these people up close. They're elevated like 10 feet above you, so they seem like giants no matter what they're like, and it's, it's just it's so powerful. It's so energetic, like you said.
Yeah, well, let's actually talk about earplugs for a second because I made fun of you back then. Like, that's not punk rock. And now, I don't know how many. Well, 2012 was, like 9 years ago.
9 years ago, baby.
More than that? No, it's 2023, so 10. So it was like 11 years ago.
Yeah, I should do math better.
Shit.
11 years.
Yeah, I can math good. This is a music podcast, not a math podcast. For the record. Even though you're going to call out some numbers later. But
yeah, there's math and music. Okay.
It's math. Regardless, my preference is now to go to concerts with earplugs. And I've had some people like, oh, are you wearing earplugs? Are you an old man? And it's just come full circle. But to your point, I mean, not having the earplugs in, it's like loud, there's adrenaline. But you go to enough shows, that's not sustainable. You start to value like the longevity of your hearing over like this sort of like desensitization of noise. And an argument you made, and I find this too, and I put in earplugs, is you pay attention to a lot more stuff and you can hear the nuances in the music and like really appreciate the things they're doing live rather than just get this wall of sound at you.
With ska bands, I feel like if you really want to be able to hear the saxophones, you got to put in earplugs. Otherwise, the trumpets and the trombones are blasting them out of the water,
Classic.
Just a slightly quieter
Classic
instrument.
trombone move.
Yeah, but you put the earplugs in, and yeah, exactly. I find I'm getting nuance. I'm getting the blend of saxophone, trombone, trumpet tone all together instead of just like distorted guitar and drums and trombone.
And talking about when there's a bad mix, that can help cut through some of the bad mix, having the earplugs.
Well, that's another cool thing about being outside at a music festival, I think, is like the mixing engineer it seems like they're usually 100 or maybe a couple 100 feet away from the stage, and they're mixing it right there for them to listen to right there from that far away. They're getting like balance out there. That's another tip, actually. If you want to get a different perspective, go stand like right in front of the mixing engineer's booth if it's like set up somewhere accessible, and you'll be hearing what they're hearing. And you're like, hey, sounds pretty good back here.
Yeah, not setting it up for the person in the very front. It's for me right here. I think another, and maybe we're going to get there, but an important note about Dead Sara was neither you nor I knew about this band. This was one of the in-between bands that were just like, well, let's just try them out and see how they are. Or maybe someone else in the festival told us, oh, go check them out. Okay, no expectation, right? And we walk over, and it was this amazing show. Is the poster still in the room over there?
Yeah, it's right around this corner. You can't see it, but...
Nice. Is it signed? I think we went up and got it signed.
Yeah, we went to their booth later and we talked
yeah.
to them. Anything else you want to say about Warped Tour?
So, just a couple quick Warped Tour stories. My first mosh pit was at Warped Tour, and it was a band called Under Oath, and they were just this pretty heavy metal band, and I was in like the middle of the crowd with my friends, and this moshing started, and I thought I was gonna die. Like, I didn't know what a mosh pit was, and you can't move. You're like, oh my god.
Can you actually describe what some people listening to this might not know? What was happening? What were people doing?
It was so sometimes there's the mosh pits where there's space between people, and you're bumping into people or sort of throwing elbows and popping off each other. This was a situation where like you just couldn't move. Like the crowd would sway one direction and you'd have to go that direction, and then it would like sway the other. There were so many people. Right,
and people close to each other, they just push the person in front of them, push the person in front of them. Just this, like you said, a wave of people.
A wave moving, of,
undulating back and
like,
forth.
honestly, thinking back on it, like a dangerous situation, right? Like if you fall down and no one picks you up, you're just getting like trampled to death. And like that's happened at concerts, So Anyways, but so that was fun. You know, it's first place where I crowd surfed. You know, you see people doing it, you're like, that looks fun, and you're like, throw me up. And so someone grabs your shoe and throw you up, and the people hopefully surf you all the way to the front, and the security guard takes you down, and you walk to the back and either meet up with your friends, or a lot of people would just do it again. You'd pass like the same kid over your head, you know, 1,000 times. And you know, crowd surfing's like, it's kind of this selfish thing because everyone's passing you, and then you just like slam down on top of people's heads, and just like it's so weird.
But I mean, being up there, you've been up with people supporting your weight. It's kind of exhilarating, isn't it?
I am the guy you want to come crowd surfing over you because I am 135 pounds, and I have been, you know, since high school. And but some people, there's like these 200 plus pound men like crowd surfing, just crushing people. That's not who you want crowd surfing on top of you.
You need a thick, you know, energetic and attentive crowd to surf those people along.
Yeah. Like when Jack Black tries to stage dive and everyone gets out of the way in School of Rock, and he just bam.
Sad moment.
Okay. Anyways, some of that too. Let me just say too, some of that too we can cut out. Maybe that was just for you and me reminiscing, but
never forget that this podcast, yes, we care if other people like it, but we also accept that not everybody will like it because of the implied for me. It's like, for me, this podcast is boring. Okay, that's fine. For me, this podcast fucking rocks. Great. For me, I like listening to Tony's low voice. Great. However you want to listen, whyever you want to listen, it's all good.
Everyone loves listening to your low voice.
That can't be true, but it might be. Let's talk about Weatherman.
Yes.
So in preparation for this, I was looking into Dead Sara came to mind right away. We listened to a couple other bands too, and I listened to Dead Sara's album from 2012, which is called Dead Sara. And I listened to the whole album, and I picked out Weatherman as like, man, just the way that Emily Armstrong, the lead singer, is singing on this is compelling to me. It's so visceral and powerful, and like, and me, I'm trained as an opera singer. I trained as an opera singer back in college. It's not even really what I do with my voice anymore. I just try to sing freely. I sing a lot in choirs. I sing a lot of kind of soul, funk music, shit like that. Mm-hmm. I sing a lot of Frank Sinatra, as you may know if you've listened to us before. And Dead Sara, Emily Armstrong is making sounds that I don't know how to make without like choking or coughing, you know, and that alone actually fascinates me. I think anytime I discover something in music that I'm like, how does that work? How do you do that? That automatically makes me interested in it. And the more I sustain my interest in it, the more I come to like it. So that's another possible way in for you. If you, like me, have spent most of the time listening to stuff more like last episode, Simon and Garfunkel, and you're coming to Weatherman and you're like, hang on, that's like a little too intense for me. So at first I was telling you that like, I can't listen to this kind of music, this kind of like screaming, intense vocals. I can't listen to that over and over and over again. It's like I feel like I have a limit because because of my own singing experience, I hear her sing, and part of me, like my jaw gets a little tense just listening, as though I'm sympathetically experiencing tension.
Yeah.
But it's funny because she's not experiencing that same tension. You know, I'm fairly certain she's worked out a way to do this over and over and over again out on the road as they tour around, right?
Yeah.
Dead Sara is still touring today. They seem to be super devoted to touring too. They're a very cool band. We'll talk more about their vibe. In fact, last time we talked about what's the proper use of the word cool. I really think Dead Sara is cool. They're very, we'll talk about how they are in interviews. They're very level-headed. They're not like Paul Simon in interviews. Paul Simon was ready to like go off on tangents. Even if he would warn you, he's like, yeah, my opinion isn't important. It's just interesting. He was aware enough to say that, but he would also go off and say like, oh, I don't like this. I like that. Dead Sara's a little more composed, a little more almost secretive. It feels like they're like one of my favorite moments from watching an interview. The interviewer asks him at the end, what is life? And Emily Armstrong thinks for a second and says, a game. And Siouxsie, the guitar player, leans over to the mic and says, I agree. End of interview. And I'm like, that's just so. You ask me that same question, and I'd be like, well, let me go on a dissertate. Let me get up on my soapbox here and tell you all about life. And they're just like, it's a game. I agree. Moving on. It's like they're not ready to entertain. They're so focused on their music that I think a question like that is not even really that interesting.
That is like an answer that would be in a biopic movie about the band, you know, that they would have to put in that, like, as they're coming up to stardom or something, to just be like, man, they're so cool.
So I thought that I couldn't listen to this over and over again, but then I just moved recently. I moved from an apartment into a house. Hallelujah.
Yeah. Congrats, by the way. That's awesome.
And I go over to the apartment a little later to clean. I had to finish some cleaning that we hadn't quite finished. And I put on my headphones and I get out my phone and I plug in Weatherman because this podcast was coming up and I wanted to prepare and analyze this song so I could really get to know it. And I listened to it once and I'm like, I need to listen to it again. And then I just ended up putting it on repeat. And for 1 hour, one solid hour, I listened to nothing but Weatherman as I kind of squatted and shook water and then Comet all over the kitchen floor, and then like got down there with a cloth and wiped it all off, and just like, oh, that floor is fucking clean, I gotta tell you. And the whole time,
Yes.
just like, oh, it's so cool. And that vibe for cleaning was really working for me. And Dead Sara, I hope you are listening to this sometime. And I would wonder, how does that make you feel if I'm like rocking out to your songs? I'm fucking cleaning the shit out of my floor. Is that cool? I don't know. I can't answer that.
I think it would have been a great song to put during the Hell Week for my fraternity, where the poor pledges had to listen to the same song on repeat while they cleaned the house. That would have been a good one. Get them motivated.
Yeah. Send that to some brothers who are still involved. So another way in to like this music, if you listen to music like this or this particular song and you're like, I just can't get into this. Another way in, I think, is to listen through and choose to focus on only one element of the song at a time. This I do because I want to learn all the different elements of it so I can talk to everybody about it. But I also found it a really effective way to start loving the song more because I start hearing all these different things. And I did a pass through, and it's good to talk about this right now because then we'll listen together.
Nice.
And you might hear the song differently.
Cool.
So the first many passes through, I was really just distracted by the vocals. I'm like, there's the sound of the voice. Then I'm like, what are the words that she's saying? Some of them I understand. Some of them I do not understand. Then the drums is what I started listening to next. And the fucking drum beat on this is very, very cool. It's virtuosic. The stuff this player is doing, I think, is technically amazing to me. I'm not a drummer. We'll see what you think of it. Then I went through, did a bass pass, did a guitar pass, loved thinking a lot about the distortion of the guitar and the feedback of the guitar in the bridge of this section. Siouxsie is doing this feedback playing where she's like kind of getting a note. Sometimes she gets a different note. She gets simultaneous like tone clusters, all these notes bunched up together. And me being a fucking music theory nerd, I'm like, what are those pitches? Is that a chord? I was like trying to make sense out of it as I was listening and just so engaged doing this the whole time. So without further ado, let's listen to Weatherman. And listeners, I would love your feedback about this. We podcast through Spotify, which means that we could produce an episode of this where you get to listen all the way through Weatherman right now with us. But we can't take that podcast episode out to other podcast platforms, which to me seems sort of like, I don't know, like fucking gatekeeping again. You know, it's like, what if you want to listen to some other platform? And I also like our way of listening to a song and talking about it a little bit as we go, which we also can't do through Spotify. It's got to be like a totally separate thing from our recorded audio. Actually, if someone knows how to do that, tell me, but I haven't figured it out yet. So we're gonna listen ourselves, and you'll probably get a small little slice of the song in this episode. But let us know your thoughts on that. Do you wish you could hear the whole thing, or do you fucking just want to listen to it yourself? You know, so good.
Great question.
Here we go. It's too good.
Like you can't not just be bobbing your head right now. Dude, that little echo.
You listen to this feedback, man. Then it goes up.
I can't do it. Yes. So good. Again.
Do you like it?
I love that song.
Yeah, what do you like about it? Can you name it? What's so cool about it?
Oh man, it just the energy, bit of the aggression. I mean, I think it takes you a lot of different places.
It's got layers to it. It's got different textures.
Yeah. There's sort of this rock, and then it pulls it back. Even we're talking during the song, some of the drums, like he's doing a lot with maybe the bass drum, but not a lot with the snare. Like leave some space, not just like 2 and like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. They're not giving you something on every beat, which I appreciate.
Cool. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about rhythm first. That's what I want to start with here. This song is about 86-ish beats per minute, if you want to know that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Not really that fast of a tempo, not that slow, kind of medium. Now, when I was listening to this over and over again, it was like the third or fourth listen as I started focusing on the drums, where I really heard for the first time this tom fill at the beginning, where it's like, and like when I first really paid attention to it, I'm like, holy fuck, that's so cool. and especially I want to really, I didn't learn the person's name, and I should have gone and looked this up, but whoever audio engineered this, whoever was helping record this and mix it in the studio, they did a phenomenal job, I think. You have the guitar starting out really heavy, and then you have the tom fills come in, but they're faded in. The tom fills start super, super quiet in the background, and then they get closer to you, which is a cool effect because that's actually not something you would really get live per se, Yeah. And I love the engineering of that. It's just like the whole thing is just arriving, making that first drop into full distortion from everybody, and Emily's come on, just all the more heavy because everything is kind of faded.
That's a good point. Yeah, you could try to play some dynamics into it and start slow and get louder, and that's, I imagine, what they do in concerts. But that intro is definitely engineered that way, which adds that extra layer of attack.
And so this tom fill, he's playing what we call 30-second notes. And you can divide a beat into any number of subdivisions, sub-beats. So we have this 1, 2, 3, 4. We can divide that into eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 16th notes, or 30-second cells. And that's what he's doing on the toms, which is like, just for a second, right now, try to drum your hands that fast. You drum before. I'm a musician and I play that fast on the piano. It's like, but if you haven't done that before, it's like, oh, that's weird. That's surprisingly hard.
It's still hard.
Not only that, he's getting this accent in there where it's like, so it's like where he's changing between tom drums is creating this other rhythmic pattern that's a little offset and syncopated within the 30-second notes. So the more I started listening just to the intro like a couple times in a row, because I'm like, that's so fucking cool. And what's cool about it is it's just setting up, it's driving us towards this arrival together, and it's for me, it's really hard not to get swept up by that. And like you said, just want to bang your head when they arrive because it's like, yeah, you prepared me. This is where we're going. Here we are. Come on.
Yeah.
And there's something I started to really appreciate, again, like the catharsis is a term. Catharsis is like an expulsion of emotion is how I think of it. And that's what this song does for me. I think the reason I like it is because sometimes I need to get some heaviness out, get some energy out. I would imagine that must be something that everyone in this band identifies with a little bit, right? That it's like, I don't have to punch anybody in the face today because I just fucking rocked a concert, you know?
Yeah.
It's like a way to deal with really intense feelings.
I would say
sometimes.
therapy, but like, it's not cool in the world to just scream and break stuff and, then you're throwing a temper tantrum. But but rocking, that's pretty cool.
That might be fundamental to rock music and hard rock and punk is like this desire to get it out in a productive and community building way. It's like you do that with a group of people and you all get something out of it together. Right?
Yeah.
So that's another way into this music.
I think back to just the festival atmosphere. And, I mentioned mosh pits and crowd surfing, and it is this sort of aggressive release. And at the end of the day, you're tired, but your adrenaline's pumping, and you just feel good. You feel good. So I think there is a component of that in this type of music.
Does it feel good? Yes.
Yes, it does.
So now let's go through the form of the song because I found the form of this interesting too. You have this intro, you have this guitar riff, and I read a little bit about this song. Someone asked them about this album, an interviewer. They said, "Can you talk about the overall themes and inspiration for the album?" And Emily replied, "We just wrote a bunch of songs. It's what it was and is. I mean, it was done really fast too, so there wasn't much thought in it, which is good." That statement, I think, is deep insight into how these people think about their music, right? So we're going to analyze it, but we're going to try not to, beat it to death. And then I also know that they were, Siouxsie, the guitar player, started playing this riff when they were first in the studio. Cool riff. What's happening here is you're on a low G, and it plays the G twice just on eighth notes. 1 and then you get 16th notes. 3 E and where it goes G, F, G. So it's going to G, the octave up, the same note, and then using this F, which is a whole step down from G. In the past, so we'll call G 1, 1, 7, 1, 1, 1, 1, 7, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 7, 1, 1, 1, 1, 7, 1, 1, 7. I said a funky number in there, but that you get the idea. So there's only two notes working here, but the octave jump is what starts to make it feel really active, and the syncopation, the accent against the beat, because you have this 1, 2, 3 E and 1, 2, 3 E and so you have this accent right on the E. That's the second 16th of a note, and then the and 1, 2, 3 E and dun, 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 dun. That's what kind of makes it a little off kilter, and also it's at the end of the measure in the 3/4, driving you back to the beginning of the measure, which is very plain. Just this 1, 2, da 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 ba 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 ba. So then they get into the verse. And what I decided to call the verse, this whole long section that's really in like 3 different sections, where first the bass is moving. It's going boom, 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 boom. Then the guitar hits this kind of clanky chord and I think puts delay on it so it echoes off in the distance, which we were liking. And over that bass riff, finally, Emily starts to sing. Skin soft as leather, I'm the weatherman. We'll get more into that melody in a second. But then there's all these, in the next section of the chorus, the bass and guitar just chunking together. Sorry, the next section of the verse. They go, da, 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 da. And they're literally just chunking on one note, on G, on the power chord, probably, the D. Right at the end of it, they do go up to a C, the 4. 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 1 1 1 1 1 1. But it's what when I analyze something like this happened with Blink too. I've developed an appreciation over the years for the efficiency and simplicity of hard rock and punk like this. Of course, some of it is quite complex comparatively with like lots more chords, but this is pretty basic. You know, we're sticking to just a couple of notes because that's all that they need. Then the third section of the verse goes into a more sustained feel where the guitar and the bass hit that note, and that's where the drums switch to hitting a cymbal, which just starts filling up all this space before it comes back to the tighter of that heavier bass drum and snare relationship. You got that chorus, the go for the kill. They'll come back to their riff here too. Go for the kill. And then they do these faster go for the kills. It gets busier, right? It's like, go for the kill, go for the kill, go for the kill. And something amazing about Emily's voice there is the tone. She's like starting by screaming, yelling, but then she gets in this really nice, what we call head voice. It's like this. I'm going to do it in falsetto for a second. Nice. Go for the kill, go for the kill. There's like this. Kill. Yeah. She has that like really, it's almost opera for a second, you know? And then it's back to go for the kill, go for the kill, go for the kill, go for the kill. I find that so fascinating that she's got intense control there, I would say. She must have practiced like going back and forth from the intense sounds to the lighter sound and just be able to sort of do that on a whim. Now that she's practiced it so much, you know?
Yeah, and her voice is one of the things that is so cool and engaging about the band and the song. And just take Warped Tour, all the bands you see at Warped Tour, there's many bands that just yell the whole time. And that's cool too. We could talk about that another day. But having that control to sort of give your voice some break and give your voice that screaming sound, and to then just transition to, as you said, I like that, the head voice is really, it's something I can't do, and I, it's pretty amazing.
Then in the bridge of this song, everything kind of gets a little spaced out. The kick drum just starts going, what we call 4 on the floor, and the bass is just. Emily starts saying sort of mysterious, funky things about the future. I watched a live record. It was a live recording in like a studio. It wasn't live at Warped Tour or anything. But I watched a live recording that was 6 minutes long, about 2 minutes longer, I think, than this recording, where Emily says a lot of different stuff in the middle of the song. That middle of the song, I think, is a very jammable moment where it's like, whatever happens in the middle happens in the middle. They've got a beginning and an end to their bridge section, but in between they might do all sorts of things. In fact, one amazing thing that she does live that's not present in this recording at all is she starts singing this high G and up to this high B. She's like, it's like it's very bright and it's like an intense, really bright sound, and it's very, very high. Again, showing off that, maybe not showing off, it's just the different way she can express herself through all these different sounds that she has available in her voice.
Wow, yeah.
And in the bridge, I was also loving what the drummer adds to this, where he's slowly layering in more and more bits as it gets to the end. There's this snare roll that like ends up on beats 2 and 4. Then he starts adding a tom drum hit on the E and the If we're going 1 E and 2 E and 1 E and 2 It's so driving. It's like he's not playing a lot on beat 1 or beat 3, except for the kick drum that he's still just thumping. I can't even do it all, right?
Dude, you're a good beatboxer anyways, but
I'm getting better by trying to
imitate this. I was like, that's pretty good.
And then they all space out while she sings the last couple words. I sing for the melody, I sing for a reason. And then where all that distortion and feedback. Let's go into that briefly, because I learned that I learned a little bit about feedback. I watched a lot of YouTube videos for this from like, how do I sing like Dead Sara? How do you make guitar feedback with specific pitches? All sorts of nerdy shit. And someone was talking about guitar feedback. This is actually related to what we call the harmonic series, which I've said I will talk about before, and I should talk about it right now, I think. The harmonic series means that in any sustained pitch, there is present not only that pitch that you hear, which we call the fundamental, but there is also present in that sound a series of overtones, pitches that are higher than that fundamental. And the relative strength, the volume of all those different overtones is what creates the tone quality of a sound. If you played this note, now I'll change the sound on my piano. It's the same exact pitch, but it has a totally different tone. And that tone quality is a result of the different overtones, or also called harmonics, being louder or quieter in those different sounds. Voices have different strengths to their harmonics. Guitars have different tone qualities because of the strength of their harmonics. And when you take an electric guitar and with your amplifier really cranked up, and you just hold it, you don't even have to play anything, just hold it pointing towards the amplifier, the feedback, the microphone pickup on the guitar is picking up sound from the strings just resonating. It's coming out of the amplifier then, and then that sound from the amplifier is going back into the pickup because you've pointed it at the amplifier, making what we call a feedback loop. Sometimes a very dangerous and undesirable sound where something feedbacks and it's like this crazy sound and everybody plugs their ears.
Yeah.
But if you control it with the guitar, what you're getting are the harmonics of the guitar. And if you press down different strings, you start to change what harmonics will sound. Whoa. And so that's a short intro into it. I don't know exactly what Siouxsie does to create all this, but she's essentially working with G to sometimes she gets this harmonic up above it. And suddenly she gets this harmonic. And this sound together makes what we would call a G7 chord, kind of a bluesy, jazzy chord. But she's oscillating like back and forth between some of those notes, sometimes getting all of them at once. It's also possible in the studio for this recording that they did a lot of different takes of guitar feedback and like combined them together. And my favorite is where what I assume is happening is as she's getting feedback, then she's sliding her fingers up the fretboard to make the feedback slightly higher as everything snare, so go for the kill to get him back into the main section of the song. It's just like, it's these little like analyzing these little details is what is another thing that can make you just deeply appreciate, like, you know, if you want to build a drop. You know, a drop is a more modern term really than even what applies to this music, but that's what they're creating. They're creating this moment of like tension, building, increasing, loudening, stop, whoa, everybody in together, gigantic band, you know, release of all that tension as we get back to the so just a lot of really cool stuff. Final music thing is the chords. There are some more chords in the faster go for the kill, go for the kill, go for the kill, go for the kill, where they go up to a C, the 4, and then they go down to the F7 and up to the B flat 3, back down to G. So it's so mixing that lick in there again, but putting a few chords in between. I like these chords because they are all they're all the same distance from each other. We move from 4, we go up to 7, we go up to 3. That's what we call a perfect fourth each time. You can remember the perfect fourth by the very beginning of the bridal march. Here comes the bride, here comes the bride. But it's like to do 2 fourths in a row like that doesn't sound quite as settled or complete. It's all just like getting us back to the G, which is down from this 3, 3, 1, 4, 7, 3, 1. And in fact, Guess where you've heard some similar motion like this before and something we've analyzed. Did you just get it?
I think I did. Does it rhyme with sink one Haiti blue?
No.
Oh,
it rhymes with pickle smack.
Oh, pickle smack. Actually, yeah, that. Yeah, you're right. What? Poor man? Or, not poor man. How you rhyming?
They're going 1, 3, 7, 4.
Yeah.
This one's going 4, 7, 3, 1. Nice. It's almost backwards from that Nickelback song. And what I like about this way is that it's driving us back to the G, back to the root of this song, kind of the home base, back to the lick. Whereas Nickelback's is starting there and moving us away. So there's some cool shit. We like what really brings us in common is that this is blues. That's what really unites those
I got
scales,
the
unites
blues
those
so
languages.
bad that my pee comes out green.
Yes, you do. Finally, that's all the music stuff and just talking about what's in this song and why you may like it, or just learning about that may make you appreciate this a little more. Finally, we should talk a little bit about the lyrics. And I wrote down something here because I did a lot of research and a lot of analysis about this. I didn't do that much research. I did a little. And I wrote down, I got my theory. You've got yours. Just listen. Deep analysis may be missing the point with these lyrics. It fucking rocks. And then I said, can my mind accept that? The aspiring philosopher in me is like, no, I can't accept that. I got to talk about what it means. It's interesting what was interesting to me to think about is like, what would Dead Sara think? Do they care if people, A, know what it means, bother to think about it, what it means, even know what the lyrics are? I get the sense from, that quote I read earlier about like, it is the way that it is. And we didn't think about it too much, which is good, that they don't totally care. It's like it's the full, live, visceral music experience that they want to experience with their fans. It's not necessarily the analysis of their words. That said, there's kind of some funky, cool stuff here that I think we should talk about. Yeah. Because this is a fucking podcast called Philosophically Sound.
We have no choice but to get philosophical. We're sorry.
What do you think this song is about? What are you getting from this?
Oh, man. Embarrassingly enough, I never knew the lyrics before today.
Did you look at them just now?
I mean, as we were listening,
okay.
I kind of looked at them. But I think just with that go for the kill, people aren't paying attention. I think it means like, just on that one analysis, go follow your dreams, go do it. Like, you're the only one, and you have to be aggressive and go do it, because like the rest of the world isn't like paying attention to you and isn't, going to be there to go make you do it. No one else cares, right?
No one else cares.
Go do it. That's what I took.
I like that. And before I go further, I'm going to go pee.
Oh my gosh, me too.
Let's go take a pee break.
Taking peas feels nice.
It feels good.
Public service announcement. Just
get it out.
Take a pee. If you're listening to this podcast right now and you have to take a pee, just pause it and go. It feels great.
Or just keep listening. You don't have to pause it.
Yeah, depending how you're listening, just go.
I dig that analysis that, no one else cares. So if you want to follow your dreams, you got to go for it. Go for the kill. Kind of a metaphorical interpretation. You don't necessarily think that Dead Sara is telling us to like go kill.
Yeah, I mean, she might be. but no, that's not what I took from it.
Yeah, I don't think so though. Let me read you what Emily Armstrong said about Weatherman in an interview. Nice. They were trying to ask her, what's this all about? And she said, after talking about being in the studio, Siouxsie playing that cool lick, and she just came up with the first lines, apparently sort of off the top of her head. The skin soft as leather, I'm the weatherman. And then she kept repeating it over and over, and later on they fleshed out the song to be more. And apparently she said to the band, that's cool, but I think I want to take the Weatherman out of there. I don't know why that's there. And the rest of the band's like, no. You've been singing the Weatherman for this jam this whole time. You got to keep it. And so she then thought like, okay, now I need to write the rest of the song about, on that line. And what does it mean? Apparently she was asking herself that question, like, what does it mean? I don't know. And then she eventually says, it just comes down to creating your own future by what it is you do today, having an effect on tomorrow.
Wow.
So pretty close to your alignment there.
That's pretty good for not knowing a single lyric.
I think, that's the gist of it. That's what, and that might be all that Emily or the band care about getting across.
I want to talk for a second. What the fuck am I saying? I want to talk for a second about kind of how they wrote that song, or how you told me that they wrote that song, because that seems to align with kind of how we would write it in Aggression Withheld, my old punk rock band. If someone would play something cool, you'd come in with a part, you'd jam it. Luke, my buddy, he would just sort of like, yell stuff or, say things, and sometimes that would turn into a song, or like I would sometimes just write like real quick, like, oh, we need some lyrics for this. What sounds kind of cool, and just make something up. And then, once you have like a phrase, then maybe you'd sit down and write the rest of the lyrics and really fine tune. But that sort of instantaneous, spontaneous creativity that can happen for like a jam instrumentally can happen lyrically too. And then, you're not stuck, but you're like, oh man, this doesn't really mean anything. It just sounded cool while we were jamming. We needed some lyrics,
Right, and what that does is it puts groove and music and feeling and energy first. It puts those things above meaning, right?
Yeah.
And that may fit your preference for listening to music, or it may not. But you may be able to adjust to lyrics that you don't understand or that rub you the wrong way, even by thinking like, well, the lyrics aren't actually. It's not that they're not important, but they're not as important as pretty much everything else in the song, including even the tone of the voice of the singer. Her choices to like use this intense scream in places and that gentler head voice in places, like that, I think even becomes more important than what the words are per se.
Yeah.
I want to give you just a little bit of other postulations on this. Awesome. So you go to Wikipedia. Actually, this wasn't on Wikipedia. It was on a forum of song meetings. I'm going to link to all this stuff in the show notes. You can go do your own digging and have fun.
Yes.
But the Weathermen was the name of an underground revolutionary group in the U.S. in like the 70s. And they would sometimes release like a note, a warning to a bank or some other office building, say like, here's why we're protesting and here's why we're going to blow up your building on this day, which was their way of trying to be like, we don't want to kill people, but we do want to, burn it all down and blow this place up. So so some people are like, this song is about the Weathermen. And that's probably not true. But what's interesting is that tons of little dooblies do kind of fit into place in the middle of this song. You'll hear this very clearly in a moment when I Sinatrify this song, because Sinatra speaks his words very clearly. Mm-hmm. So you're going to understand what's being said. But in the bridge, I sing for the melody, I sing for a reason. I sing as the neglect for all that un-American. Why is un-American in the song all of a sudden? That's what some people hear and they say like, okay, well, it's fucking all about the Weathermen, right? About this leftist revolutionary group.
Interesting.
Other people, I've read an interpretation that swayed me, where it's like, it's actually about the experience of war veterans being like forced to go kill and not even like having a choice in it, and sort of experiencing that PTSD for the rest of their lives. Mm-hmm. This guy was a vet, and that's what he was getting out of it as he was listening to the song. And it's at this point where you start to apply the implied for me to this and say like, well, for me, this is what the song is bringing up in my mind. And at that point, it becomes less a matter of being correct. And there's a for the band meaning. and there's a for you, and there's a for me. And all of those meanings, I think, this is what's beautiful about music, can coexist in our love of this stuff.
Yeah.
I developed my own little theory here because, and I developed this mostly just by listening, just by trying to listen and not look at the words.
Was it
sometimes I would
kill the dirt on the floor? Was that the...
Yes, kill the dirt, kill the dirt.
As you cleaned, go for the kill, get that spot.
Here's what I came up with. Skin soft as leather, I'm the Weatherman. No one else more dedicated, I'm the Weatherman. Then a little bit later, addicted to the love of ourselves, I'm the Weatherman. I tell no one else, I'm the Weatherman. When I started thinking, the more I listened to it over and over again, I noticed the un-American line in the bridge. I'm like, you know what I'm the Weatherman kind of sounds like? I'm American. And I started thinking to myself,
Whoa.
Is she kind of like making fun of some American stereotypes? Addicted to the love of ourselves, I'm American. I tell no one else I'm American. Is she even like a little, there was a time, I think, when I was a senior in high school or something, where this was a vibe. Sometimes that people would be like, oh, I'm bummed out to be American, which of course, brief philosophical diatribe here. One of my deepest influences, Adrienne Marie Brown, who runs the podcast How to Survive the End of the World, big inspiration for me, and you've listened to some of the episodes. Mm-hmm. She has written on her blog about what she calls post-nationalism, or what she's trying to think is like, I'm not un-American. I'm not American. I'm not patriotic even. It's like I'm trying to imagine a world where my nationality, where I'm sort of past that and I'm thinking of myself as a global citizen, which is such a big idea that it can be hard for us to know what tangibly that even means. But she's got this whole idea about how that focusing on American identity may not actually be the best way to cooperate. Cooperation is something that we are talking about on this podcast.
Yeah.
They also, Dead Sara has also written a song in 2016 that's called Un-American. One of the lyrics is like, fuck this, fuck that, guess I'm un-American. You should listen to that song if you haven't before, because it's very, very fun. Again, I sense that Emily is mostly having fun with us, kind of with all these words. I'm not sure she has like a really deep agenda or plan with these lyrics, but I also think that she has thought carefully about what she put there. I almost wonder if she's like, well, what I wrote down, remember last time what Art Garfunkel said about Paul Simon in Sound of Silence, that he was touching images that can be taken a lot of different ways. I think this is probably pretty in common with tons of songwriters. That's what they want to do, right? They want to touch things so that as many people as possible can be drawn into it in a way that makes sense for them.
I think that's really cool, and I'm gonna have to listen with your theory in mind next time.
Hell yeah, brother. I think that's all we need to say about this particular song.
Yeah, great analysis. Fascinating on a bunch of levels. Well, let me ask you a question. Do you think, had we not gone to Warped Tour and someone had shown you that song, that you would still like it as much? Or do you think you would... Someone shows you the recording and you like it anyways, and so in this instance we could have discovered them on the radio. Now, I never heard them really on the radio or had many people bring them up to me, so I'm really glad we went there and discovered them that way. But do you think if someone did, you'd like it as much as you do?
That's a great question. I don't think the band's name would be stuck in my head without that live experience at Warped Tour. And without their name being stuck in my head, it might not have been a matter of liking or disliking them, but completely forgetting them. But something about experiencing that whole, probably like a 40-minute set or something, seeing them move around. Honestly, watching videos of Dead Sara again, it made me think like, I gotta get in shape. Talk about getting in shape for the new year. I can't even move like that on stage. I feel like, there's a lot of to be admired just about that. And now, tomorrow, imagine we hadn't done this podcast and tomorrow you show me this song. I think I'd be pretty into it, because right now I'm embarking on this quest to understand and absorb and love as many things as possible. But show it to me before I went to Warped Tour, back when I was saying, like, I don't really want to go with you, Gus. And you'd be like, listen to this song, though. I'd be like, I'm still not convinced, bro. Don't really want to listen to that. So that's one of the secrets behind the Implied for me, too, is that, like, one of the reasons it's so important to me and that I think about it so much is because I personally needed it to kind of get out of my own judgments. Not only about my own music that I would make, I'll overly judge myself as I make stuff. Yeah. And then I would overly judge other people's stuff. Sometimes in order to form a so-called, like, more secure sense of identity. I am this. I am Tony. I listen to funk and Frank Sinatra and jazz, not hard rock. And it's like I want to separate myself from the other stuff somehow, but I don't really want to do that anymore. And I would argue to you, listeners, and to you, my brother, that I think it would not only be better for me, I think it might be better for you and all of us if you liked more things. That's the essential thesis of this show.
Yeah, I agree with that, or I wouldn't be here, right? But to be a global citizen is to like more things, to appreciate more cultures, more languages, more differences, and there's nobility in that pursuit. And I think I don't know, to answer my question to you for myself, I think I probably would still like it. But yeah, would I have this? Would I be a fan? Would I have this attachment? Would we be talking about it today if it was just a song that someone passed on to me? I don't know. And so I'm really excited, next time I go to a music festival to see, like, as we talked about at the beginning, I want to go now and see what I can see and get out there. It's like an adventure.
Thank you so much for listening to our show. This is Philosophically Sound. It's researched and produced and recorded by Gus and by Tony. The audio editing and the musical analysis is by me, Tony. And if you are out there and you have thoughts, just things you want to share, critiques, one of the definitions I read of philosophy recently on Reddit, which I quite liked, was philosophy is not philosophy if it is not open to critique. We are open to critique. I would love to hear critiques of the Implied for me, situations where it doesn't work for you. We'll be dealing with that much later in this season already, but it's just fun to hear people's thoughts. You can email us directly at philosophicallysoundpodcast@gmail.com. So yeah, requests, feedbacks, questions, comments, critiques. If you really dig what we're doing and you would like us to take some of our money and put it towards other forces in the world, like one thing I do is I buy the songs that I put here. I buy a copy of it. I might buy a whole album sometimes so I can throw a little dough the artist's way. And over time, I hope to be supporting a lot of lesser-known artists through this project. Dead Sara almost fits in that category. They're pretty big, but whereas I was looking at the numbers the other day, Simon & Garfunkel has like 11 million monthly listeners or something. Dead Sara has like 100,000 monthly listeners. It's interesting. These, I hate judging stuff by numbers, but it's interesting to think of that. And as we try to search for more music that we want to love, that we want to get to know, there's infinite options for us. I would love to highlight more music that's lesser known, local, and things like that. So if you have suggestions, send them to us. And if you want to help support our effort to make more people like more things, you can support us with your money by going to patreon.com/philosophicallysound. Patreon is a website where you can set up a recurring monthly payment to give us a little bit of your dough. You can subscribe for as little as $1 a month if you wanted. There's other tiers there where you can get access to some of the other cool things we've done. Like there's a recording of me and my 2-year-old child practicing scream technique. I felt like he was really useful for me to learn from that, but you have to subscribe to Patreon to listen to that. So if you're excited about that sort of thing, get on there. There's lots of little bonus. You can hear some of my process of figuring out how to Sinatrify Weatherman. If you're interested in some of the behind the scenes thinking of this, you can get access to that through patreon.com/philosophicallysound.
And look, I'm a little bit biased here, Tony, but my nephew, your son, is pretty cute, around 2 years old, and he did I listened to the recording. He's a natural at screaming and making that sort of musical scream voice.
There will also be some links in the show notes to different YouTube videos I watched to explore screaming vocal technique. I am not a master. That's why I didn't talk about it a lot today. I don't feel like I understand it super well yet. But if you want to go learn about those things, I hope for this show to also be sort of a repository of musical information for folks too. So go there and research.
Yeah. One more question about Patreon. How do I become the number one potty mouth?
If you want to be the number one potty mouth, you have to give us $200 a month, which is quite a bit. But if you subscribe at that level, you can send us recordings of yourself swearing, and we will insert those swear words into the show at choice moments. If that's the sort of thing you're into, we're into it too. Let's go.
Yeah.
Also, eventually there will be a practice track out there, and maybe out there by the time you listen to this episode, where you can listen to the theme song for our show, and then you can record yourself singing along to that theme song. Send me your voice all by itself, and I will mix it into the theme song. So hopefully over time, over seasons, we will have an ever-growing crowd of a choir to sing about our preferences.
Beautiful.
To close, I'm going to sing Weatherman in the style of Frank Sinatra.
Let's go.
This was very challenging for me. This was a little tough. And you know, I think what I have is pretty good. I'm not sure it's really, is it Frank? Is it Dead Sara? No. It's not really either of those things. It might be a fundamentally unique creation. I have changed the form of the song a little bit. I'm not doing the whole song. And we'll see how this goes. Let's rock.
I'm excited. Let's do it.
Skin soft as leather, I'm the weatherman. No one else more dedicated. I'm the weatherman, addicted to the love of ourselves. I'm the weatherman. I tell no one else. I'm the weatherman. So go for the kill, 'cause no one else cares. Go for the kill, 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 go for the kill. I sing for the melody, I sing for a reason, I sing for the neglect and all that un-American. So go for the kill, 'cause no one else cares. Go for the kill, 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 go, 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 go for the kill.
Bravo!
Sweet.
Standing ovation.
Thank you. If you want to hear more of that, tune in next time.
Love you, brother.
I love you, brother. Who are we?
We are
Fucking professionals. Yes.